This video is going to be a little bit different. I'm W, I talk about tech and business and that sort of thing, and I want to talk about one of my online businesses that I started in 2018. Basically, as the title says, it made about $69,000 for me last year. That's revenue, so the actual profit is roughly about $1,000 every fortnight or so, and it fluctuates between each month, but that's how much I did. This is my iPad actually screen sharing. If I just pull down to refresh, you can see that, this isn't just a number that I've just typed into the thing. This is actually my real sales. This is my actual conversion rate, 4.34% on the website. Basically, I just wanted to talk about some of the strategy because this one Shopify store was out of 5 that I tried, and this was the only one that really did successfully. If you are going to start like an online store or something like that, these are the strategies that you can use to try to increase the chances of success. This is the overview of the whole store. So basically, you have your traffic, you have Shopify, which is the website platform. Shopify is really amazing because it makes you able to build a website very quickly, but also that it has a lot of tools that you can use to try to increase the number of purchases on your website. You can operate a store by yourself, and that can save you money on employees and stuff like that. But in the long term, you really need to have someone there to help you because of the fact that otherwise you become a sort of self-employee, and then you have to sort of think, okay, well, is the time that I'm spending on my online store worth the time, because you have to do customer service? Actually employing someone to help you is really, really helpful because you can spend your time therefore growing the business instead of just being inside the business. With regards to picking products for your store, try to pick stuff that you've actually bought before. I think that helps a little bit. So the store that ended up doing successfully was probably the only one where I'd actively bought the products that I put on the store. With regards to the traffic that you start off with, no matter what sort of store you have, you always need a way to get people to visit your store. There's 2 ways you can do this. One way is through paid traffic, so that's like Facebook ads, Google ads, but I think that it's really important to start with free traffic. The reason for that is that for the overwhelming majority of times where you're starting an e-commerce store or some sort of digital online business, you have no idea whether your thing is going to sell or not. With regards to testing your products, try to validate whether your product is actually going to work first, and do this with free traffic, because as soon as you get into this game of trying to spend money on Facebook ads, Google ads, it becomes risky. There's a definite monetary risk for doing Facebook ads, Google ads, and a lot of the time if you don't know what you're doing, you'll basically lose money. If you look on YouTube, there's some people that talk about Facebook ads. I think Ari Sherson is like a really good one. Chris Wayne is also very good. But to be honest, with Facebook ads, it's one of the most difficult ways to advertise your store. It requires a lot of data, a lot of patience, and it requires a pretty expert interpretation of the different advertising methods that you're using, because there's a lot of different factors that go into what makes Facebook ads work. What I would advise if you're starting a digital business, you can start your Shopify store, start your Shopify page, and just put up some basic stuff, but you want to really use free traffic first. In terms of where to get free traffic from, there's 2 ways you can do it. One is that if you've been on Facebook for long enough, you have access to Facebook Marketplace, and that's where you can simply sell things secondhand. When I first started selling the product that's on this particular store, what I did was I actually put the product image and put the product description onto Facebook Marketplace to see if people would buy this product as a secondhand thing. It was really promising because I got like about 10 or so sales on Facebook Marketplace with this particular product before I'd even launched my store properly. So therefore, I knew that if I put this product onto a web page and drove some traffic to it in other means, I could actually probably do well with this product. That's how you get an understanding of product market fit, and that your product is actually going to sell before you even sell it. Use Facebook Marketplace. You can use eBay. eBay takes a cut, of course, but that's another way that you can do it. I have sold products on eBay before, but the cut is really crazy. Like I think I was selling like a $200 product, and then they take $70 of it or something. It was just like too much of a gouge on the profits. In terms of using Shopify, with the actual Shopify description, you really need to have really nice pictures. You notice that when you dive into the analytics of the store, you can see how people sort of scroll through the page. They will scroll through a lot of the images on your actual product page. The pictures really, really matter. You need to have clean photography. Try to go, at least as good as the photography for people that are in your same niche. There's a lot of trust signals also that go into a product. So for example, some people talk about having these great big, huge descriptions and stuff, description of what the product does, what the benefits and that sort of thing. It might be something that's helpful. What I've found is that for my products, they literally only like 4 or 5 sentences long in terms of like the product description. Because even if I only have a very short description, people sort of already know what it is that they want. And they make this decision of purchasing before they even start to read the description, because they basically look at the product image and that triggers some sort of emotional reaction. And then after that, it's kind of like they're trying to justify to themselves, okay, should I buy this product? I think this is the right one to buy. Should I buy this? So I use the description mostly as an informational thing more than anything else. For example, if you're trying to sell something that requires a certain size, well, obviously you want to include the size in the description. And if you want to have something with a certain material, you probably want to include the material in the description as well. If you're going to have something like camera gear, for example, people probably want to know, is it compatible with that camera? So just basic stuff like that. But apart from that, product descriptions don't necessarily have to be that crazy. Just keep your pictures really nice. Keep your descriptions reasonably short and to the point. Illustrate this is a quality product. With regards to other trust signals that I've used personally, I have a little chat box at the bottom corner of my website, and that is using Drift. You can use Intercom as well, but that's pretty expensive. And that's something which people have commented on, and they often, like, people will contact you about customer support and stuff like that. And I think that just gives a sort of really nice touch. So people are like, oh, like this website isn't that shady, because literally this person, David, will pop up in the corner and be ready to help. In the end, like, I didn't help that much. It's actually my employee that helps. But that chat box that's there really acts as a trust signal. People are also always wondering about shipping times. So that's important to put on your website and be accurate with it. Refund policies as well. So what is the return policy and what is the warranty policy on your store? Surprisingly, people these days, they will actually look at that. And then finally, you've driven traffic to your website, you've created this Shopify store, it's got nice descriptions and nice pictures and that sort of thing. You've got lots of trust signals like the chat box and refund policies. For the last part of everything and how it ties everything together, you really need to have good systems in place. The first part is obviously the fulfillment, because you have to send the customer the product and you have to have a good method for doing that. And that actually can get quite complicated. If you're doing something like dropshipping, and dropshipping is where you literally order at the time of the customer purchasing and then order the product and send it off to the people, then that makes it easier. If you're doing something like ordering in bulk, that becomes a lot more complicated, but you just need to think about how are you actually going to fulfill the orders that customers are ordering. With regards to customer service, so people are always going to want to do refunds, they're always going to complain, they often are going to want to know what your product is like and whether your product actually suits them. So you need some form of customer service there, not necessarily someone to take calls, but if you just have someone that mans that chat box that I talked about before, that's helpful. And to have like your own company email, people can contact you for that as well. Finally, finances, something that's really important to get right as well. So you need to understand how much you're spending to understand how much you're actually making. Because if you don't have an idea of how much you're spending, well, obviously you don't know if you're even making a profit or not. You might be losing money and you have no idea. Having financial reports is really important. I tend to use Google Sheets for that, but I connect my store's sales with a thing called Zapier. So Zapier allows you to connect Shopify and Google Sheets together. With regards to taxes and stuff like that, that's just something that differs from country to country. So you really have to look at your own country's laws / regulations with regards to that. And then finally, ad spend is just another thing that you have to consider. If you are spending money on ads, that becomes something that's actually quite important to think about too. We've talked about product testing, we've talked about the basics of it. And this is, look, you can go into like so much more detail with any one of these things. I just really wanted to give you a sort of bare bones overview so that you understand what roughly it takes to start a digital business properly. So with regards to paid traffic, and I think that this is the bit that people get stuck on, because people think, okay, I need to spend money on ads in order to drive traffic to your store. Paid traffic comes after you've reached product market fit. You want to try to do everything you can to use free traffic to test out whether your product actually works or not first. I don't care if you post onto Facebook groups, Reddit, wherever it is, as long as you have some sort of validation that people buy your product first, then you can do paid traffic. When you do get to the paid traffic stage, so let's say now you have a product that you know has physically sold and you're doing that via Facebook Marketplace or eBay, whatever it is. So you've got people that want your product and are paying for your product and you're making a profit on that. Great. That's the time that you can think about starting paid ads. I do some Facebook ads, not heaps. Most of them are what's called retargeting ads these days, because Facebook ads, again, very difficult to do properly. I think it's easy to spend a lot of money on Facebook ads and not know exactly why the ads aren't working. I tend to use Google ads a lot more of the time these days because you get more intent in terms of the traffic. So, people that are searching for something that's aligned with your product, those people are already in sort of a buying mood. Email retargeting is really interesting because email is one of those things that pretty much costs you nothing in comparison to how much you gain from it. The return on investment on email is actually crazy. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you have an email retargeting campaign. What that looks like is an abandoned cart flow where if someone adds to cart but then doesn't purchase, then they get an email that says, hey, you left your thing in the cart, basically. That's really, really useful. You will always make money on that. Very important to set up. In my particular case, my website actually captures people's emails and offers them discounts. You need to have something that grows over time. Customers that come in, through Facebook ads, Google ads, whatever, they sort of can swoop in and then swoop out, but you don't own them at all. And therefore your business doesn't necessarily grow at all. What you want is something over time where you've actually got an asset. In other words, you've got a bunch of customers' emails. I've got a few thousand for my store now. And so if I wanted to, I could literally just send them an email and then say, look, there's a discount on these products. And then some people will purchase it. Finally, I use SMS as well. So in Shopify, the plugin is called SMS Bump. SMS is quite good. It's kind of like email. Compared to the amount that you actually spend on it, it's a really, really good return on investment. If you were to look at this flow in sort of depth, at the top of the funnel, which is where people start, they will search for something which is a product on my website because I happen to be in a particular niche where people always need that sort of product. So they will search for it on Google and then my thing will come up on Google. So Google Ads is where everything starts. They go to my Shopify webpage and then that's a product page directly related to the product that they want to buy. What will happen is that more Google Ads will go and retarget that person, because whenever you do retargeting, it always makes you a fair bit of money. Also, I use Facebook ads retargeting. You can do this thing where you install what's called a Facebook pixel on your Shopify store. What that does is that people that visit your store, sort of their account is linked to Facebook. It will send them an ad again to say I saw that you were interested in this particular product and here's a 10% off discount. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is you should avoid wants-based products and you should just do needs-based products. I tried to sell these watches once and I also found that it wasn't working because of the fact that watches require a lot of branding efforts put behind them. So I just tend to avoid anything that is in the vicinity of wants-based products because that spending isn't necessary for people. If you have a needs-based product, someone will look at your store and be like, oh yeah, I do need that thing. Those products always do a lot better from my perspective, having done 5 stores, including this one successful store. So that would be my advice with regards to that. I hope that you found that useful. I'm not really sure whether I should keep talking about Shopify type stuff and e-commerce type stuff, but please let me know in the comments below if you find this useful, and I'll probably consider it if this is something that's useful for people. If you have any particular questions, you can let me know. I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, if you are interested in more stuff like this, you can hit the subscribe button and make sure to click the bell, because the way YouTube works nowadays is that if you don't click the bell, sometimes you don't even get notified the videos come up. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.